What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Johnny Toronto. We're going to be talking about the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs and whether or not the Maple Leafs will trade him. There's a little bit of news on this, a little tiny little piece of it that is interesting. Could be good or bad depending on how you look at it, but we're going to talk about the guy right behind me. Wow, wish I could have pointed at the right thing. But if you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. You guys know I love making Leafs content, so if you do enjoy that, sticking around here by liking or subscribing does help me a lot. It's free and it does help me, so if you do enjoy, please do so, and make sure to comment down below. Tell me your opinions. Let's talk about it. Let's have a healthy, fun Toronto Maple Leafs sports related conversation. I don't want to argue with anybody, so let's just have some fun. But there was some news. There's a little bit of news. Nothing crazy, but NHL Watcher, NHL_Watcher always posts all the radio hits and stuff like that, and I love it. So, and it's Merrick on the 32 Thoughts podcast, obviously with Elliot Friedman. So, Merrick on Tavares. I had a conversation with someone who wondered about a team like Utah, and here's why. Utah has a lot of young players, which is formerly the Coyotes. Logan Cooley is an obvious one, but Utah is most likely in the business for veteran players on short-term deals. And the theory is, and it continues down here, they could offer Tavares a pretty healthy number on a 2-year contract as a why to entice him to waive his no trade. Would that make sense to you? And then it's continued by Elliot Friedman this time. Everything can always be made to make sense to me, but I am under the impression that Tavares is going to play in Toronto next year. Now, we kind of assumed that Johnny T was more than likely going to not waive that no move. And before we get into hockey talk, I know that most people don't care, but and this is not me just outright defending the player. I like Tavares. I think he's really good, but not for the money he's getting paid anymore. Let's break this down. And again, let's do this unbiased, right? Let's just talk about this normally. So Johnny T comes here as the most intriguing free agent in the last how many years? Like, this is a guy that was a bona fide superstar at a decent age, right in his prime, who turned down more money from other teams to come play in his home in Toronto. Now, since then, he's got some kids, he's the captain, and he's got a no-move clause. Now, when you're a superstar and teams are enticing you, they're going to throw those out there. But as we know, the Maple Leafs GM at the time threw out no-move clause like Halloween candy. So he got one. And whose fault is that? The team's fault. He has a no move, and he can decide whether or not to use it. Now, some players know when the time is up, but in his case, he's got very young kids. He's home. He's around his family. They've settled. I don't think he wants to go anywhere, and I'm willing to bet that he's told the Maple Leafs that, hey, look, I'm going to take a significantly less money. I'm going to take way less money if you keep me around next season. And if the Maple Leafs are interested in that, great. He's a 60-plus point player. If I was the Leafs, I'd say, look, Johnny, we're not giving you we're not going to give you anything. Like, we're going to give you a very cheap deal. And if you want to stick around, great, man. We'd love to have you. But we want to put our money elsewhere for after your contract is done. So it's up to you whether or not you want to take a significant pay cut. And I'm talking like less than $5 million. And I know that that's not fair market value. He should be, with the points he's putting up, he's over $5 million. For sure. But the Maple Leafs are going to have to be like, no. Like, it's done now. Like, we're not paying you that much. But that's just me saying, like, unbiased, that there's two sides to this. One, again, respect to Johnny. Thank you for coming to Toronto. He's the captain. I'm still going to cheer for him. I'm not one of these guys that's not going to cheer for these guys if they don't get traded. I like the guy. I met him. He's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. Multiple times I met him. He wouldn't get off the ice when they were telling him to. He wanted to meet all the fans. He's a nice guy. But in business, sometimes it's time to go. And right now for the Maple Leafs, Johnny T going would make sense, but he's not going to waive that no move. So I wanted to pull up some numbers here. So during the regular season, he was pretty good. 65 points in 80 games, almost 30 goals. Like, this is a good season. Like, this is a really good hockey player. But the problem is that he's still getting paid $11 million. Now, mind you, it's the last year on his deal, and if the Maple Leafs trade Mitch Marner, it's not going to matter too much, right? They're going to save money. They're going to go out there and spend it elsewhere. And Johnny T will still be a really good 60-point player for the Maple Leafs, score 30 goals, and it'll be great. He'll still be a good hockey player, but being paid way too much money. But again, the problem is if they don't trade Mitch Marner, the Leafs do have a little bit of cap space, and let's just do a little bit of an exercise. Cade Weber is 100% getting sent down. This guy's not making the Leafs, so that gives them a little bit more space. Now, if we're looking at guys who could make this team, who are currently on this roster, who might get traded, I think David Kampf is an interesting one. I think Pontus Holmberg is a guy that, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to make this team. But Ryan Reeves is also interesting. I don't know if he's going to make this roster. There's a lot of maybes here. Connor Timmins is 100%. I'm putting him here on LTIR because I think the Leafs are just going to dump that contract or bury him in the minors, which again, the Leafs would now be up over $20 million in cap space. If you're able to trade Johnny T, look at the jump that it makes. The Leafs would be working with over $30 million to go out there and get some really talented guys to play on the blue line and in their middle six here and potentially get another goalie. Now, again, like I said before, if Tavares doesn't get moved and they end up just trading Mitch Marner, you're in the same boat. You've got $31 million to spend here. You're obviously losing the better player, because I think in a perfect world, if the Maple Leafs were able to trade Johnny T and keep Mitch Marner, I mean, they probably would. You're getting $30 million in cap space and you're able to keep the young 90-point winger that you have. Who are you trading? The guy that's getting older that puts up 60 points, or are you trading the 90-point guy? The only reason to trade the 90-point guy is because that's the situation they're in, because he's going to give them value back by getting traded. He can bring in pieces that Johnny wouldn't be. Johnny would bring us probably salary retained for good pieces, or we would have to just give a team his entire cap hit and take back less in a trade. Because regardless of what you say, Tavares is still worth something. And again, because a lot of his salary was paid in signing bonuses, his cap hit will stay the same, but the team acquiring him would pay less money to get him. So it's not like he's a guy that can't get traded. There's been worse players that have been traded, and you're like, how did this make sense? How did they get something back for this guy? Johnny T could get you capital back. He could get you pieces back. But the Maple Leafs are probably not trading him. I would put it at 90%. I would almost say 95%. But to be fair, I'll say 90% that he doesn't get traded. And that's his choice. It's the same thing with Mitch Marner, unfortunately. And again, no disrespect to these guys because it sounds disrespectful. But no disrespect. But like it's their choice, right? Like as much as like I'd love to see the Leafs allocate that money in other places and get a change, there's a chance it might not change, and we have to be ready for that, right? You can have this $20 million of cap space and make it work, which is good. $20 million in cap space is pretty good, but they have to get 2 top 4 defensemen, they have to get a legitimate goalie, and they need to get another couple forwards. You're not going to go out there and be getting quality guys for less than $2 to $3 million. You got to go out there and spend. And if the Maple Leafs were able to get $30 million, you could bring back Domi and Bertuzzi. You could go out there and get a couple defensemen, and you could go out there and potentially get a nice goalie. Maybe call up Easton Cowan and Fraser Minton to fill out that bottom 6. Trade a guy like David Kampf, and you're laughing. You've got a way different team. But when it comes to Johnny T, I want to know what you guys think. I want you guys to comment down below. Will the Maple Leafs end up trading their captain? Will it happen? What could they do? Who would they trade with? I think Utah would make sense, but again, it's always the, just trade them to Arizona thing. Now it's Utah, right? Because they've moved. So that owner apparently wants to do some stuff. I think he's like part owner of the Utah Jazz, or maybe the full owner. I'm not too sure, but they want to make moves. So it wouldn't surprise me if they go out there and go, look, Johnny T, we'll give you $7 million next year. Just because we need you to teach these young guys a thing or two. It could happen. The cap's going up. Like the cap went up to $88 million. It was supposed to be $87.7. We got an extra $300K. So that's always nice. That puts us way over the $20 million, which is nice. So let me know what you guys think. If you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Like I said, it does help a lot. Join the squad. I do appreciate you guys as always, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.